"Where they burn books, they will also ultimately burn people." This quote comes from the 1821 play Almanzor, written by the Jewish German poet Heinrich Heine. Though he died in 1856, his words foresaw what would happen 77 years later, with the infamous Nazi book burnings. After the Nazis came to power in 1933, the state immediately moved to impose its agenda, which involved nationalism, anti-Semitism, and of course authoritarianism, censoring opposing views and promoting their own. In April, the main office for press and propaganda of the German Student Union declared nationwide action against the un-German spirit, creating blacklists targeting books opposing Nazi ideology, such as the works of Einstein, Freud, and Marx. The Union also published the 12 Theses, modeled on Martin Luther's 95 Theses and the burning of a papal bull, advocating for a pure national language and culture. The Theses were publicized, attacking Jewish intellectualism and asserting the need to purify Germany's language and literature, targeting universities. They saw these institutions as essential to respond to the worldwide Jewish smear campaign against Germany. On May 6, 1933, the Union raided Magnus Hirschfeld's Institute of Sex Research, seizing volumes, photographs, biographies, and records related to sexuality, loading them onto a truck. Universities all across the country were raided, targeting works that were leftist, anti-nationalist, pacifist, and degenerate, including titles on sexuality and certain forms of art. Any book opposing Nazi ideology or un-German was also seized, as well as anything written by a Jew, regardless of its content. 4 days later, rituals and celebrations were organized all over the country, attended by Nazi officials, professors, and student leaders, throwing books into enormous bonfires, accompanied by music, singing, and oaths. In the State Opera Square in Berlin, the contents of the Hirschfeld Institute were set ablaze, while Minister of Propaganda Joseph Goebbels made a fiery speech calling an end to decadence and moral corruption in front of 40,000 spectators, which was also broadcast on the radio. On this day, over 25,000 books burned in Germany. Thousands more burned at universities across the country for the following month, 34 institutions in total. The Nazis had burned books not only to censor opposing ideas, but to publicly demonstrate their power. They decided what was and wasn't German, no one else. The burnings were public displays of propaganda made to unify their supporters and intimidate their opponents, a sign of things to come. Heine's words illustrate how governments limiting free thought is often just a prelude to a much darker story. When books are burned, it's often about a lot more than just the books. It's about suppressing information the state does not want available and helps foster a complacent population that believes that its actions are righteous and necessary. Had Germans been more conscious of what happens when books burn, then maybe so many wouldn't have stood by the side of the Nazis. Unfortunately, Heine's play was among the first to be thrown into the flames.